Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in this world. Welcome to Be Victorious with Theodora. And I'm so excited. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation with an amazing woman and coach and a beautiful person. I'm super excited to bring her on stage. So make sure you share this, you come and ask questions, you stay with us, and you help us have a conversation about what do you want to know that my guest is coming here to share. So let me bring her on stage. Stay with us. Tammy, hi.
Hi, Theodora. Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry, I'm loud. I'm obnoxious sometimes. I'm just so excited.
I love it.
I'm so excited, super excited to have you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. Thank you for being flexible and working with the time change that we had to adjust there. Oh, so excited to talk to you, to learn more about you, to share the stage here with you, actually give you the stage, because I'm here just to hear your story and to share with my friends and family about the amazing self you are. I want to know everything about you.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a lot.
Good. Let's talk. How did we meet? How do we know each other?
Through our friend Dave Duncan,
Yes.
who's a realtor phenomenon.
His
He
Dave is
connected
amazing,
us.
and he connected us, and I'm so grateful. I thank you, Dave. I
Thank you,
think
Dave.
Dave is watching, and Dave, if you're here, because I know you're here, say hello, and yeah, come be with us. Tammy, you're so amazing. I want you to share. Let's start by where were you born and raised? Where does Tammy's life start?
Well, I was born in a small town called Windsor, Missouri. And but I left there when I was about 4. We moved to Kansas City, Kansas, and I actually grew up in Kansas City, Kansas.
In the big city.
The big city, yes.
Did you always live there? Is that where you went to school, and in the Kansas City big?
Yeah, I grew up in Kansas City. I have left a couple times, but there's something about it that just keeps pulling me back.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I knew Dave's here. Hi, Dave. So good to have you here with us. Thank you for this amazing introduction, by the way. And so, how is school? Like, when school, as in like elementary school, and then did you go to college in Kansas City? How was the school time for Tammy? I mean, you're so beautiful and you're just so amazing, and I know you have this amazing personality. How was school?
School was actually kind of challenging. When I was growing up, home life was a little chaotic. My mom had a husband that was kind of abusive to her. So I watched a lot of that when I was growing up. So school, I maybe was a getaway for home life a little bit when I was little. And then as far as college goes, I took some classes at like Longview Community College, but I didn't ever, like, I don't have a college degree. Everything has been like self-learning, self-paced, like finding programs that interest me and then specifically building those skills.
That's why I believe that you're such a victorious person, because you use your desire to have, to grow and to do more based on what you wanted, not based on, somebody that puts a curriculum together, right?
Yeah. So one of the sciences that I study talks about our driving forces. And so some people are very instinctive, which would be me, where like I'm more likely to Google something, or I go really deep whenever I want to learn something, where somebody who's intellectual, like they just learn because of learning's sake. They like to learn about everything, where I'm more specific about what I want to learn.
That's awesome. That's so amazing. And then let's move to adult life. So how did you, I know you got married and there was an unfortunate event that you lost your husband.
Mm. Yeah. So adult life has been an interesting journey as well. I met my husband actually about 10 years before we married. So we dated on and off for 10 years. And then we were married and had two beautiful children. And when the kids were 4 and 10, my husband died suddenly of a heart attack. And kind of set me on this life-changing event. It's so funny because our cells regenerate every 7 years. So he's been gone now for a little over 10 years. And I'm definitely not the same person I was when he passed. I've had tremendous life-changing growth.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And I love that you're able to recognize that.
Well, I think that awareness is the key to success. Like whenever each individual person can become aware of who they are, it helps them to communicate better with others. And then the next step would be understanding, other people too. So I've really made it a passion of understanding myself and understanding others.
How do we help people know who they are? I feel like there's so many people that I talk to, maybe in business, maybe friends, maybe they're just floating in their life, but they don't have a grasp of who they are, and because of that they're not able to do more. Or I just, I don't want to say they're miserable, they're just floating, but they have so much more potential and I see it, but they might not be able to see it, and because of that they're limiting themselves to stay where they are and not go to the next level. How do we help somebody like that?
Well, I think that for me, I am a little bit of a harder learner. It takes a little bit more black and white and information. So for me, it was like I started my discovery process with a report that showed my behavioral style, my motivators, and so forth. And it was like, okay, this is how you prefer to communicate. And I was like, really? Okay, that's not all pretty, right? So I think the first time that you see that, you might be like, I don't know. But then you like start interacting with your family members. And, when you're that solo parent, like we were talking about, we both are, it's more important than ever to understand yourself, understand who your kids are, so that you're communicating with them in a way that is empowering, not disempowering. And if you are behaviorally opposite, like I like to speak in a very direct manner, but my son he's more of a reflective person. So he needs information to come at him in a way that is more nurturing than I was naturally. So I had to learn to become nurturing. And I think as parents, we want to do this as early as possible, maybe even before we have children, so that we cannot be damaging and conditioning our children to be who we think they should be. We want to raise them to be who they are meant to be. And it takes skill and it takes awareness of yourself, because I think in the beginning, none of us really want to think that we communicate in a way that could be hurtful, because it's not intent, right? It's just natural from the experiences that we've had. We become this communicator that sometimes isn't as empowering as we might want to be.
I think I'm so guilty of that. My daughter and I are so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still learning how to motivate her to do things that need to be done, especially her room, for example. I don't know, and she's trying. She's a very good girl. She's trying very hard, but if I tell her go clean your room, that doesn't work.
Which is interesting. So my son, that probably would work, but my daughter, that would not work. And but she's more like me, right? And when I was a kid, my room was pretty messy. So I kind of like remember that, you know?
Yes, I told my daughter the other day that my mom used to say that my closet was at an angle because and this was as a kid, as a child. I'm not like that anymore, but my closet would be at an angle because if you open the door, everything would fall. And when I told my daughter that story, she loved it. I think she felt the connection that maybe I was like that, and now it's okay with her to be like that. But it's funny. I want to know. I know that you made a transition in careers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you tell me about that?
Well, I made a transition actually back in 2018 after the company I was working for decided that they were going to leave my market. We had just had like an amazing event where we had 20-ish people there and things were kind of starting to take off, but then they decided that they were going to leave the market. And I was super like frustrated and confused. And some of the things that I've learned since studying human design since then is that my communication style, my behavioral style, I don't like change that is put on me. Like I need to be the one that is making the change. So that was pretty confusing. And I started my business because I knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't really have any clarity at the time. So it has been a little bit of a rocky journey. And I, about 2 years ago, decided like this, I wasn't getting as far ahead in my business as I wanted. The people that I was working with and helping were seeing great results, but I wasn't working with enough people to provide for my family. So I was feeling very selfish for doing something that I love because I wasn't, being successful here in the material plane. And so I went to work for a company and did as like a performance specialist inside there, and then as a national sales executive, and was able to have hundreds of conversations with leaders in the corporate environment. And what I learned is the biggest challenge is communication, emotional intelligence, which is what I was teaching before I went to work there. And I had an opportunity to work with our sales team at our sales summit in early February. And it reminded me of how I really love to see that shift in people's faces when they see the assessment and they start to understand themselves, and their mind opens up to the possibilities of, the things that they can do. Makes me really excited. So I decided to lean back into my business and left that organization. And here we are.
And it's amazing. And the change that you make in people's lives is just so fulfilled. Like it's, right?
It feels really good to like help them to understand, how they're communicating. It's interesting the last several weeks, like reconnecting with old friends, because I kind of went off the grid, away from everybody, and just like to just rediscover who I was without friends or being close to the family. Like the kids and I, during COVID, we moved to Florida and ran away to the beach finally. And it really gave me the opportunity to do some deep healing from the challenges of life and rediscover who I was. And so I think that we all have to go off the grid a little bit at some point in life so that we can really be more impactful as who we are, because everybody has some conditioning like throughout life where other people have given them well-meaning advice. But what's well-meaning advice for you and me, and internally what we know, that is what we need to really learn to listen to, is our own internal compass, and not necessarily always the well-meaning advice from others.
I agree 100%. I think I think we hear people telling us things that maybe they just don't hit our brain because we are not ready to receive, or we are not in that
Mm.
position to receive, or we're thinking about so many other things and we're just so overwhelmed, right? And then they mean well, but I agree. I think we have to disconnect and recover and regroup so that we can come back and go stronger, take the next level that we need.
Yeah. And you said something interesting earlier about how people are just kind of floating. And I think for me, I was forcing. I was trying to force things in my life and force in here, and I kept hitting roadblocks because we have to learn to actually flow with who we are in order to really be most effective. When we are forcing, that's actually the shadow of strength. And so strength doesn't have to force. Strength is just power in who they are. And force is, hey, look at me, you know, I can help you. I can help you.
Yes.
But really, when we're forcing other people, we're putting our beliefs onto them. And that's not really even something that I believe in. I think that we all have our own internal guidance system. We just have to reconnect to it.
I love that. Ah, so good. Tell me about what you do now. So I know you're. Um, Tell me about Unleash Your Amazing.
So unleash your amazing. So unleash is about letting go, letting go of anything that's holding you back, whether it's your beliefs, other beliefs, whatever, what do you need to let go of today to step into your most amazing self? And I think that we all have a little something inside us, whether it's, I can remember after my husband dying that I was told you just have to find another husband. Like it's that simple. And for a very strong woman to just find another husband. But that is sometimes how other people who love us see that we can make our way through, is through that. And I think that it is through connection, but it's not necessarily that connection of a spouse that we need. We have to reconnect to ourselves. And so in Unleash Your Amazing, I help teams or families to really reconnect with each other, to understand how they're communicating, and then to find a way inside themselves to do it in a more empowering way.
That's so life changing. And I know that working with you is just such a blessing. Tell me about a few books that you would recommend that I would read, for example. Something that I want to read so that I can, reconnect, like, or or just something that I need to read.
So the last 3.5 years, most of everything that I've read surrounds the modality called human design. So if I was going to recommend one book for sure, it's this book, which is the definitive book of human design, the science of differentiation. And so it really talks about and shows like the pathway to understanding who we are at a soul core level and how to better engage with others, how to better manage our energy. So that's probably number one. Then the other modality that kind of goes around human design is called the gene keys. And that really talks more about like who we are as a person as well, like our genes and the shadows, as well as the gifts of each of our 26 placements in our human design chart.
Awesome. That's so cool. Okay, got it. What was I gonna ask you? I know you're in Kansas City now, right? Are you back in Kansas City? So, if I were to work with you, do you work with clients over Zoom?
I do. I work with clients over Zoom or in person. Sometimes with the team building, it's like a one-day workshop where I come in and I work with the team around communication and, in sales or in leadership, just understanding, again, self first so that you can be a better person by, just by understanding yourself.
Right.
I think of myself sometimes as an awareness teacher.
I love that. You said workshop. Do you have a workshop coming up that is listed on your website?
It is. I have a webinar coming up that is on cultural dissonance, which is about, having conflict belief systems inside your corporations and how that is affecting your team. So that is in a couple of weeks. And it's under the events tab on my website.
Your website is so amazing because we unleashed are amazing.
Thank you. It's a work in progress. I just rebuilt that since I left the company I was working for like 3 weeks ago. So it's a work in progress.
That's awesome. How do we? I want to go back to the kids. I want to know. So with my daughter, for example, since we're so different, I want to connect with her. We have a really strong connection. I mean, she's amazing. It's just the fact that it's just her and I at home makes things maybe easier, but sometimes it's so difficult for her because she does not have the other parent to run to. And I know you went through that when you lost your husband. As an only parent, let's talk to the single moms that are raising their kids alone and they want to connect with their kids. Yes, we do have to connect with ourselves, but at the same time, we want to build a better relationship with the kids. How do we help the single mom who's, in the situation that feels maybe disconnected or feels that she could do better in building her relationship with the kids?
So for me, it was studying and learning more about human design and how, with my kids, especially my daughter, we have there's 9 centers. Each person has like 9 centers and they're either defined or undefined. So my daughter and I have 4 opposite centers where either like 2 of them, she's defined and I'm undefined, and 2 of them I'm defined and she's undefined. Well, there's a part of that, the emotional intelligence, your emotional solar plex, where she's defined and she naturally rides these emotional waves. And her wave looks a little bit like this, where most of the time she's pretty neutral and then she gets really excited and her wave will pop up. And then like a couple minutes later or 30 minutes later, she might be down in the wave. And so it's like this a lot. And that is her natural body rhythm, right? Well, I'm undefined, which makes me want to fix that. A little bit of the people pleasers out there, you probably have an undefined emotional solar plex, making you more be able to feel other people's emotions. And so when you can feel the emotions of somebody that you really love and they're in pain, it's tough, right? As parents, we want the best for our kids. We want to help them. But what I've learned is like, you can't fix somebody else's emotions. You can only be aware of it and aware that you could be reactive to it. So those that are white or their solar plexus is undefined, when somebody is in the down of their wave, you can make it worse. And then when they're higher in the wave, you make it better because you are, taking in that energy and amplifying it. So I would just say, like, understanding if you're trying to fix it when somebody else is in the down of their wave, when somebody's having those emotions versus just holding space for it, stop and kind of step back. If you need to say, hey, honey, I need to go to the bathroom, I'll be right back, and pull yourself out of the aura. If you're starting to like react versus empathize, and then walk into other rooms, splash some water on your face, kind of shake it out, shake that negative emotion out so you can come back and be more present. I remember one time we were at the beach and like, who can be sad at the beach? But she was in the down of her wave. kind of missing family and friends back at home in Kansas City. And I was like, I took my chair and I like moved over just a little bit. And she's like, "You're moving away from me." I'm like, "I'm not moving away from you. I'm moving out of your emotions so that I can not be reactive." So that's the thing, is like when we feel ourselves being reactive to other people, sometimes it is just about breaking aura to get back into our own bodies so that we can lead and guide in a way that is going to be more empowering versus picking up that emotion and then taking it further down. Does that make sense?
Yes, you're a genius. I love how you explain that. And I went back to see if I'm doing that or if I'm really good at just comforting and not getting upset and crying with her when she's crying. Because at 11 years old, she has those, she cries for no reason. She doesn't know why she's crying, or maybe she can't communicate yet. She doesn't want to tell me, but she's just crying. And I'm there to hold her. And I'm just all the time encouraging her, let it out. You're just cry it out, and then we can talk about it. So I think, we're, yes, on the right path. Dave has a comment here, and I want to read it. Sometimes we try to sell or consult to others by and through our own beliefs and styles. A better way to do it might be to sell through the recipient's belief and styles. Same with dealing with our kids.
Yeah. And it is, interestingly, we most recently, we moved, so she's been having some challenges at school with the change, and been seeing some different specialists, and recommended that she do therapy. And we went to therapy, and she was just like, she came out and I could see that she had been crying. And we got in the car and she goes, "I'm not crying because I'm upset. I'm crying because I'm being forced to do therapy, and I don't believe in therapy." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, let's talk about that then." And so we decided and made a decision that, for now we're gonna stop doing it. If this isn't something you believe in, then let's see if we can figure out and make you feel better in a different way.
It's important to support them and let them have a voice,
Yes.
rather than force them. And it's the same with adults.
Mm-hmm.
I think when adults speak what they have to speak, and they express their ideas and their belief, we have to let them be. And if they don't align, then we can be friends.
Yeah, or not, right?
Or not.
Because we get to choose on whose belief systems and who we're going to have in our lives. And I think that is something that is really important to understand, because the whole reason, season, or lifetime is important. And sometimes those people that have those conflicting beliefs, if it's negatively impacting me and how I need to be in the world, then I need to make some decisions around that.
And the decisions could be hard for the moment, but could be very beneficial for the long time, for our own life and our own well-being from all points of view.
Yeah, because you are the star in your show, right? Yes. You are the star of your life. I am the star of my life. My daughter is the star of her life, and maybe somebody else's sometimes. But it's important that we figure out and lead a life that is our individual journey.
Amen. I love that. I love it. What would you like to share with somebody that would be your ideal person that could work, needs to work with you? You're the client that you're available for. What do they need to know about you and who you are and how you work, so they can reach you?
Well, I would say that it's, if you're having conflicts with your relationships, and this can be, at work or at home, typically if you're having them at work, you're probably having some challenges at home, or maybe your family's having some communication challenges. That's who I work with. I blend different sciences. So I more of a traditional, like written report science with more of a spiritual human design to help you really get a very comprehensive understanding of who you are energetically, how you prefer to communicate, what you value, and where your emotional intelligence is today. Because emotional intelligence is the one science that we can change. And it is changed by consistently working on your awareness first, self-awareness first.
You mentioned there that you blend spirituality too with how you help people. Can we talk about that a little bit? How did spirituality help you through your life?
So whenever human design found me, I had like at the same time, like 3 different challenges, 3 different like smackdowns to where I was just begging God, universe, whatever your beliefs are, but I believe in God. Yeah. I was praying to God and asking for guidance. Yeah. And a coach that I had worked with several years beforehand had introduced me to human design. But when she did, it was like, oh, you've got a cool chart, you might want to look into it, and at the time I'm like, astrology? I mean, I kind of, but not really, it wasn't time. Right. But whenever I was in the depth of despair and just begging, I went over and I pulled out one of my old coaching books, and my report fell out on the ground. And I was like, okay, I'll go down the rabbit hole. And so I picked it up. I made sure that I had my accurate time of birth. And then I ordered the book that I recommended, the Human Design Manual. And I just, for 3.5 years now, I have obsessively studied and understood, to understand it. And the biggest difference that it made for me was the relationship with my children, and like one of my prominent placements is in strength. So I figured out, like, I was trying to force so many things in my life. So, over the last several years, I had, in like 19, my word of the year was faith. And then it was like surrender, and then flow. And then this year it's unstoppable.
You are. I love that.
Yeah. So it's, again, but it goes back to awareness, right? Is when I started studying human design, I became aware of who I am energetically. So there's 5 different energy types, essentially. Well, human design says 4, but there's like a hybrid of generators that are generators, manifesting generators, which I'm a manifesting generator, which is this multifaceted person that's supposed to do multiple things. Like doing the same thing every day is super boring to me. I cannot do that.
High five.
And yeah, and it's like, come on. So like understanding that and not shaming myself anymore, because I can't stick to one task day in, day out. It's not who I'm meant to be, And so the other behavioral styles are human design energy types. There's projectors, which is only about 20% of the population. And they're meant to wait for an invitation. So when somebody's speaking, they have great advice and they want to give their advice all the time, but they need to wait for somebody to invite them to give them that advice, or it's going to fall on deaf ears if you're just always constantly telling people what to do. Then there is the manifester, which is about 8% of the population, and they are the only energy type that is meant to just do it. So everybody thinks that Nike's slogan is for everybody, but it is only for 8% of the population. And then the last type is a reflector, and they are 1% of the population, and they are the true reflector. So if they're with, they are constantly reflecting the energy of the person and the people in their aura. And they need to wait like a lunar cycle, so 28 days before they make any major decisions.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
I'm glad I'm not that energy type.
You and I are like, okay, let's go.
Let's go. Yes. Yes.
We gotta do this. We're out the door and we're gonna do this and this and this and this and this. And
yes.
we're getting it done. But I wish, I want you to I want you to assess my daughter. I want to know more about her because I don't know. And I'm so creative and I'm always just like going. But I want you to assess her. I want to know more about her so that I can, like I said, I can connect better with her, but I want to be able to help her succeed and be just figure out what does she need so that she can bloom and flourish. And I don't want to struggle. I don't want to if there's a shortcut, I'm gonna take it.
Well, I think though that is also what I have learned is that we're all going to struggle in some ways. It's just part of it. It's part of our soul's evolution is to work through these things.
Yes.
But I don't think that we have to keep working through the same challenge over and over like I did. Like I think that you have to have the awareness and learn to take those lessons and move forward and recognize when the same types of people are coming back into your environment and be discerning for, who you're allowing to feed into your intellect. Because so many of us are like 70% of the population has what's called an open head or open mind, right? Where the others that are defined are conditioning us. And that's okay if it's what's right. Yes. But the challenge is so many people are out there telling other people what to do, and they're a different energy type. So they need different advice. And I think that that's the number one thing that I think that is important is you have to understand who you are and what your energy is about so that you can do things that are best for you individually first. Like as the cup runneth over, you can give to others, but you have to fill up your cup first. And I don't think that we've been doing that in a society. I think that we've been taught to be codependent and that, to give our power to other people, but really, we are our own gurus and we know how to self-heal and to work through things. Sometimes we just need guidance of what the tools mean so that we can live our best lives.
Right.
Cliche.
And analyzed. I feel like it's so hard sometimes to look inside you and be I don't want to say critique, but analyzing yourself. It's maybe it's me, maybe it's my personality and who I am, but it's so much easier to accept somebody telling me, well, you did wrong here. Of course, somebody that I trust, somebody that I know that would not do that as to hurt me, but they really want to help me understand that who and what and why, rather than just critique at the level that's not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I want to acknowledge some of our viewers. Ted is here with us. Hi, Ted. I hope you're having a great day. And he was
hi, Lynn.
And Lynn is my sister from Lynn is my very dear friend and my sister and just my my match in my energy sometimes. And my back to reality shake, hey, no, you're doing this wrong. It's so good to see you here. Thank you for supporting us and for being here with us. Tammy, you're amazing. I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to chat live, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to come talk to me so that my friends and my family of friends had a minute with you to see how amazing you are and how much you can help them unleash their own amazing.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun chatting with you.
You're welcome. Ted says self-examination of one's own problems is probably one of the hardest things to do. especially since we have a nature to protect ourselves from criticism.
What I feel about that is I actually, when I started discovering who I really was, it was actually less shameful. It was less than what the stories that were going on in my head. It was actually a more empowering story. So when I understood who I was, it was a more empowering story than what I was feeling at the time.
I think
So it can work both ways, but I feel like the majority of the people that I talk to are doubting their greatness. They're not doubting their weaknesses. They are doubting their greatness. And I think that we have to start buying into how wonderful each of us are as individuals and stop worrying about what everybody else thinks of us, because their opinion, as Les Brown says, is none of your business.
Amen. I say that all the time. Oh my God, Tammy, you and I need to talk some more.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, I tell all the time. I even tell Alma all the time, my daughter, what your friends think about you is none of your business. You just go, have fun. And Dave says sometimes we let the same people or thoughts in our lives because it is familiar. And familiarity means comfort, but comfort isn't always our best fit. Oh, when we become uncomfortable, we can do so many amazing things.
Yes, use your voice to distill and to break through that comfort zone, because everybody's voice matters.
We just have to be uncomfortable sometimes so that we can learn more about us. I love you. I want more of you. I'm going to move to Kansas City so that I can be close to you and Dave.
Okay, come on.
We're going to have Dave find me a home. Just, sell here in Denver. It's so busy and so overwhelmed. Denver is just so crowded right now, and I can just move to Kansas City.
Kansas City is a good town. We would love to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being here, for taking the time, and for sharing your amazing story and your wisdom with us. I want to learn more. Like, I'm going to work with you so that I can learn more about me and my daughter. Like I said, I need to know her. I feel like I don't know because we're different. She's very calculated and smart and quiet and reserved. She's very analytical, and I just go headed. Like I go and discover. She stays and analyzes. And so there's something there that I need to feel.
Yeah, it's good. It's important, and it's definitely enlightening to understand, who they are, who our kids are as people, and help to encourage them to be more of who they are and less of what we expect them to
That's
be.
exactly what I want. I want to encourage her, and because we're so different, I want to know more about how to help her and who she is so that I can channel her that way. So we'll talk. I appreciate you. I'm going to be here for a minute with you, but I'm going to say see you later to our family of friends, to our friends, to our audience, to people who love us and to came here to spend time with us and to learn more about you so that they can work with you. And now they know where to find you, unleashyouramazing.com. And everybody, please share this. Tammy is absolutely amazing, and your friends and family and coworkers and the leaders and the salespeople that you know and everybody that is in your circle could really help their life by working with Tammy. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.